When Omega released the new Aqua Terra in this turquoise colorway, and then later the same watch but with a sportier brushed ceramic bezel and rubber strap, I was genuinely confused. I, I still kind of am. But I was still curious to get my hands on these because the Aqua Terra is usually the quieter one among the sports models. Typically, they're more restrained. But Omega decided to throw away that unspoken rule out the window and release something wild. I mean, this color is not subtle at all. You'll see it on a fellow collector's wrist from a mile away. Maybe that's what they wanted. Let's first talk about both of these watches. What's same, what's different, who are these for, and whether or not you should consider these. I've got the 38mm versions on the table because I think these just work better on my slim 6.2-inch wrist. Both of these come in a 38mm stainless steel case. Both have a thickness of 12.36mm, lug to lug of 46, an odd lug width of 19mm, dome sapphire crystal on top, flat sapphire case back, and 150 meters of water resistance with a screw down crown. The key feature of these watches is that smoky gradient turquoise dial. That's in line with the new Railmasters we saw recently. These have a divided opinion, like Fotina. Some prefer the clean, consistent look of lacquered dials. I'm not picky on any particular style. I like my plain flat dials, but I also love my gradient dials. To me, it all depends on the execution and the overall look. I absolutely love the beige brown dial on the Railmaster, and while this turquoise is just a bit more punchy, it's beautifully executed, with black applied markers and date window that give these an overall casual, sporty look. I found the Seamaster Aqua Terras always to be a little more serious than the Speedmasters and the Seamaster 300s. Not in terms of technical specifications, but in terms of looks, in terms of the visual aesthetic. They've just, I don't know, they just kind of had this maturity to them in their visual design. But the Aqua Terra Ultralight pushed this collection into that conceptual experimental area. It showed that the Aqua Terra doesn't have to be so visually serious and formal. And for a while now, it's had the technical capability of being a more experimental watch. And both of these watches proved that. These share an identical movement with the in-house automatic caliber 8800, beating at a frequency of 3.5 Hz, offering 55 hours of power reserve, and both feature Omega's coaxial escapement, being one of only 2 watch brands in the world to use George Daniels' coaxial escapement, which benefits from reduced friction between parts, resulting in better long-term reliability and longer than usual service intervals. These movements are master chronometer certified, allowing them to have tight precision tolerances, better overall stability, and more than enough resistance against magnetism for daily use. The main difference between these two, apart from the price, is the strap and the bezel. It's a wonder how a minor modification like a bezel change can completely change the look and feel of a watch. One comes on the more standard polished steel flat bezel, giving the watch a more elegant look. And then this more recent version comes on a well-integrated rubber strap and a brushed black ceramic bezel. And considering that these are Meta certified, there is that added assurance that these watches, including the bezel, are highly durable. It's not 2013 anymore. Omega has evolved their ceramic technology for... Omega has come a long way with their ceramic. But in this case, the ceramic element has less to do with performance and more with style. In my opinion, it opens the possibilities for Omega to release certain models, certain conceptual Aqua Terra editions in both steel and ceramic bezels, making one sportier than other. But then the whole issue comes in that Omega just has way too many variants. I don't know, I feel like this whole argument isn't really valid because Omega is such a huge brand. They literally have thousands of retailers all around the world. Different cultures, different countries, and different regions have very different tastes. If you guys come to Malaysia and Singapore, the watch collecting tastes are going to be massively different from what you see in Europe and the West. So while these may not speak to some of us, I'm glad that Omega is at least experimenting with new wild colors and materials. The rubber strap definitely feels lighter and more comfortable, something that I'd happily wear when running or being a bit more active. But the steel-on-steel version certainly feels a lot more versatile, being that one watch that you could dress up and down. I think the ceramic bezel option will speak more to those that already have an everyday style watch, and this just offers a different character altogether. Now, which one would I go for? Honestly, I don't know. I still kind of want that brown Railmaster. I think that's my pick. But I don't think you could go wrong with either of these. Just depends on whether you're looking for something a bit more dressy or more casual. But what do you think about these two watches? Which one would you go for? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.